Debt has become a burden to the individual, but it isn't just at that level. It goes beyond that. It goes to the municipal, it goes to the city, the state, the country, and the global level, all in massive amounts of debt right now in virtually every country around the world. Let's go into the options that these governments have, and you will see for yourself how there is no way out of this. Let's look at this. The percentage satisfied with the direction of the US. This is out of Gallup, saying in general, are you satisfied or dissatisfied with the way things are going in the United States at this time? Dating back from 2000 up until today, and you could see a practically straight line going downward. And this is a matter of fact that this is going to continue on. Whoever goes in after Obama, it will simply be the same policies happening. They work for the bankers, they work for the military-industrial complex, and the average citizen gets the short end of the stick. But have no fear, because the Federal Reserve is going to come and save everything. In fact, on September 18th, the Fed chair, Janet Yellen, is going to come out and have a speech about the importance of asset building for low and middle income households. That's right. This person here is going to tell you individuals exactly how to build assets, even though they get the insider deals, even though they're completely on the inside of the scheme and we have to sit on the outside of it. They are somehow going to tell us how to make money. This is the total debt, federal debt, total public debt out of, well, this is actually from the Economic Collapse blog, but the data is out of the St. Louis Fed. And basically what it's talking about here is approximately from the just previous to the 70s up until today, showing you a massive increase in the debt. Now, why was this date chosen specifically? That's because Nixon pulled the world off the gold standard, and ever since then, there has been a monetary expansion like the world has never seen before. If you look at Weimar Germany, for example, you had the same thing that needed to happen. They wanted to fund their wars, and what did they do? They removed the gold backing from their dollar, from the mark, and assuredly they were in a hyperinflation in no time. That's exactly what happens, and all throughout history. It can't be stopped. Now, one of the things that they could do, of course, is implement TARP, another stimulus type package. But let's take a look in the pages of history, and you will see this. The original legislation in Congress allocated $700 billion to purchase toxic assets. Instead, it was used to bail out corporations such as GM and Chrysler. And let's not forget to mention that GM went across the world to China, to Brazil, and opened up factories there and make additional profits, which they never have to bring those profits back into the country. It is quite a scheme that they have figured out. And I wanted to add here, also a large chunk of the TARP money went to nearly 700 different financial institutions, and I say that the Congress was lied to and the people were deceived. Ultimately, when the government makes decisions that affect us, they are not giving us the advantage, that's for sure. They're using the money that we make, the tax money, the tax dollars, and that's not enough. Because when they steal that money, they need to go to the Federal Reserve and print up trillions upon trillions, hand it out to their friends as well, and it causes inflation. China isn't the really taking a page in the history for the U.S., I should say. China is doing the same thing. Now, they are injecting $81 billion into the market here, and what they're doing specifically is this. China signaled its deepest concern yet with the nation's economic slowdown, reportedly injecting $81 billion into the nation's largest banks. They are doing exactly what the U.S. is doing, and of course this will do nothing to stimulate the economy. Why can't they learn from the U.S.? But of course this is all part of a more grand scheme, and all countries are in a race to the bottom to devalue their currency. Let's take a look at this. It's quite interesting, right out of the GAO, saying this. Under the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, you may know that as Obamacare, Insurance plans offered in the health insurance exchanges known as qualified health plans may cover abortion services as a benefit consistent with federal and state law. That's right. Your money forcefully taken away from you through this taxation of Obamacare is going to be used to abort babies. And so far there have been tens of millions of babies aborted just since the Roe versus Wade in only a few decades back. And this is how your tax money gets used and abused. This right here is the food stamp program right out of the USDA's website. You may not be able to see the font, but right there is nearly 47 million people on food stamps. This is something that shows you the real economic data. They can hide it all they want. This number right here is real. And right here, Mark Faber, although he has been predicting a crash for quite some time, what I'd like to mention is that with enough stimulus, with enough money printing, with all these schemes, the negative interest rates, they can keep these going, perhaps for infinity, but as a result, they will encounter a hyperinflation. What he said was this: now I want to be diversified. I want to own some gold. I want to own some shares. I own most in Asia and Europe. And he says I own some bonds and cash and real estate. So I hope that when the collapse happens, now get this, this is what he said: I'm only going to lose 50% of my money. He is deeply worried, a man who is completely diversified. This is real diversification here, owning all assets geographically, and he's worried that he's only going to lose 50% of his money. And that is a huge concern of mine when an individual like this, who has his real finger on the pulse of what's happening out there, and he's predicting perhaps a 50% loss in his capital. Something really to think about. You need to be extremely diversified. And I would like to just throw this in here right at the end to say to you that, for example, you have a retirement account. You have $20,000 in there. Now, doesn't it make more sense to take that $20,000 and invest it into something like solar power? You will be protecting yourself greater than any retirement account. That's the type of thing that you need to think of. You need to be creative with that. If you don't have $20,000, maybe you only have $10. Why not buy some quote-unquote junk silver? Why not buy things, take things, and make what you can now before a hyperinflation or inflationary scenario takes place? Use what you can now. Use your brain now prior to any of this happening, as you can see it accelerating today. If you found this informative, I hope that you'll give me a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. And of course, don't forget to become an insider. It's where I give out all my best intel. And we now have nearly 900 insiders. So I want to say hello to all the new ones on there, and thank you for all your emails through there. I really appreciate all those. We correspond back and forth, try to answer as many questions as I can and do what I can in a short period of emails back and forth. And of course, if you want to do that, that is at themoneygps.com. You scroll down to the bottom, you fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with short, concise info.